Welcome. If you're tuning in, you're likely facing one of the absolute toughest challenges a homeowner can go through, rebuilding after something as devastating as the Palisades Fire. Today, we've got a highly focused explainer that breaks down a massive shift in how LA is handling this crisis. We're going to look really closely at the city's brand new centralized permit process, which was actually designed specifically for fire rebuilds. My goal today, to take that incredibly complex bureaucratic web of city planning and simplify it for you into clear, actionable steps. Okay, let's take a quick look at the agenda. We'll be covering the city's solution for fire rebuilds, the fast-track approval process, what actually counts as eligible, navigating the demolition rules, and finally, setting up temporary housing. So, Section 1, a solution for fire rebuilds. Let's dive in. Look, losing a home is an overwhelming logistical nightmare. And historically, trying to rebuild just added to that trauma, right? In the past, the old way, getting a home permitted meant you basically had to act as a full-time courier. You'd bounce between completely different offices across the city, tracking down reps from building and safety, driving over to water and power, hunting down city planning, public works, sanitation. It was a lot. But now, with the new way, the city has literally pulled all of these key department reps into a single room at the West LA Permit Center. It's a true one-stop shop designed to give you some immense relief and honestly, save you countless hours of driving and waiting. And it's not just that they consolidated everything, it's how accessible they made it. The new Fire Rebuild Permit Center is right at 1828 Sawtell Boulevard. But what's truly incredible here is their schedule. They're open 7 days a week. During the week, they're operating from 10 a.m. all the way to 8 p.m. And on weekends, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. These are incredibly forgiving hours put in place specifically to accommodate stressed-out homeowners who are, let's be real, likely juggling full-time jobs on top of managing this crisis. Moving right along to Section 2, the fast-track approval process. To actually speed up this bureaucratic timeline, the city put a specific 3-stage flow in place so your plans don't just get lost in the shuffle. First up is the initial plan review. Once you submit your drawings, assuming they're complete and eligible, the West LA staff take the lead. Next, we hit Stage 2, interdepartmental approvals, where the other agencies chime in. And then finally, Stage 3, in-person plan check meetings. These happen right there at the permit center so you can iron out any final wrinkles face-to-face. Okay, let's anchor your expectations with a hard number, 30. That's the absolute maximum number of days the West LA staff have to complete that first stage, the initial plan check review, once you hand in an eligible set of drawings. That means within a 30-day window, you're going to get your plan check comments back, along with a comprehensive list of any other department approvals you might need before permits can be issued. Now, this next number is even better, 5. Once that initial review is wrapped up, all the other city departments have a very strict mandate. They have to respond within just 5 days of getting a clearance request. But here is the real game changer. Because reps from places like SoCal Gas, street services, and transportation are literally sitting in the same building, you might not even have to wait those 5 days. You have a very real chance to secure those approvals on the exact same day. All right, Section 3, what counts as eligible? So all these fast-track benefits sound fantastic, but the really vital question here is, does your specific vision for a new home actually qualify for this system? Let's demystify the zoning code for a second. The Emergency Executive Order defines an eligible rebuild using a very specific metric, which is the 110% rule. Basically, your new structure has to remain within 110% of your original home's floor area, its original height, and its original bulk. So you do get a little bit of wiggle room to improve or expand slightly, but for the most part, you're tethered to the footprint of what you lost. And this brings us to a crucial point. You absolutely must respect this size limit. Let's say your architect draws up this beautiful new plan, but it increases your home's floor area by 115%. If you do that, you completely forfeit all the time-saving perks of the new West LA Center. Your project gets bumped straight into the standard, significantly longer plan check process. So definitely keep that in mind. Now, I do want to manage your expectations here by flagging a bit of a gray area in these new rules. As of right now, it's actually an unresolved question whether adding a new basement counts toward that 110% calculation. You see, while standard zoning code doesn't typically count a basement as residential floor area, under this specific emergency order, they could very well classify it as added bulk. We just don't know yet. It's an unanswered question. So if you're planning a basement, proceed with caution. Definitely clarify this with the permit center early on so you aren't caught off guard later. Okay, assuming your design is eligible, here's your concrete submittal checklist. You're going to need a full set of architectural, structural, and civil plans. Those structural plans need to be within 5 to 10% of the current building code, otherwise you'll have to provide formal justification. You also need to pull a complete permit history for the site. Oh, and here's some really great news. They are accepting existing soils reports and approval letters that are up to 10 years old. This is huge because it'll save you the time and expense of commissioning a brand new geological survey if your old one is recent enough.
Moving on to Section 4, Navigating Demolition Permit Rules.
Look, before you can even think about pouring a new foundation, you've got to clear the lot safely. To help streamline your recovery, the Department of Building and Safety actually changed the rules for demolition. On one hand, you can skip the typical demolition permit entirely if your lot is relatively flat, meaning the slope isn't steeper than a 20% grade. And if taking out the old foundations requires excavating less than 3 feet deep without, destabilizing any adjacent structures. But on the flip side, a demo permit is absolutely required if your building pad goes over that 20% slope, or if your site needs complex engineering like deep foundations, piles, grade beams, or retaining walls. But here is a crucial detail that trips a lot of people up. Even if the formal permit process and grading pre-inspections are waived for your simpler lot, the requirement to notify the city is absolute. You literally must formally notify LADBS before any demolition work starts on your property, period. Please, do not let a rogue contractor start tearing up your lot without making that notification, or you're going to run into some massive compliance issues down the line. And that brings us to our final section, Section 5, Setting Up Temporary Housing. So, we've talked a lot about the paperwork for your future home, but we really need to address the most immediate logistical hurdle. Where are you and your family actually going to live while your property is in active construction zone? Well, the city is now allowing temporary housing like RVs or manufactured homes right on your site. And here are the 3 exact steps to set that up legally. Step 1, get a Phase 2 clearance from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. This just verifies that the site is cleared of toxic fire debris and is safe to live on. Step 2, secure specific utility permits from LADBS so your temporary home can legally hook up to water, waste, and electricity. And Step 3, bring in the RV or mobile home, set it up, and schedule the inspections for those utility connections. And honestly, this highlights another brilliant layer of bureaucratic relief. Assuming you've met all those safe demolition conditions we talked about earlier, you do not need a separate building permit for your temporary housing. That saves you from having to file yet another standalone application and pay another round of fees just to have a roof over your head while you rebuild. We've covered a ton of ground today, right? From fast-track timelines to the 110% rule and temporary housing setups. The city has definitely done its part by creating this streamlined pathway at the West LA Permit Center. But navigating it, that still requires expertise, precise architectural drawings, and a really deep understanding of current codes. So knowing all these exact steps, the real question is this: are you prepared to navigate this entirely on your own? Or is it time to partner with a unified design-built firm like Letter 4 to carry this heavy load for you? Taking this massive checklist off your plate might just be the most important step toward your fresh start. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and we truly wish you the absolute best on your rebuilding journey.